Joe Reiniker in the big chair with today's Resource Central, this week's Resource Central. Our guest today is Luann Kibee. Hi, Luann. Welcome to Resource Central.
Hey, Joe. How's it going?
We're doing good. I wanted to know from you, you recently received an award, an Advocacy award, but before we get into that, I want to know a few things about you, like how long have you been at Skill and where are you based out of and stuff like that?
I live in Hayes, and we actually in 2004 had opened an office here in Hayes, which the office has been closed recently. But so I've worked for Skill since April of 2004, so a little over 11 years. Well, I was an independent living program manager out here, managing basically the services in western Kansas. Recently, I have changed to half-time. I'm doing the K-Loan program, which is an alternative finance program for about a third of the state. And then I am, the other half-time of my job, doing systems advocacy manager for Skill.
What's that program that you mentioned? K-Loan? Let's talk about that for a little bit. Okay.
So the K-Loan program is operated by Skill. Skill's contracted with KU to manage the program. Jeanette Grau, actually out of Parsons, we have the K-Loan, the main office is down in Parsons along with Skill, and she manages the program for the state. And then there's several coordinators across the state, myself, and then we've got Heather in Hutchinson and Larissa Parsons along with Jeanette. And basically it's an alternative finance program, which is specifically for people with disabilities to apply for loans and
housing loans, or what type of loans?
No, the loans are specifically for some type of adaptive, modified, accessible, assistive technology piece of equipment, whatever it is. Whether it can be like a modified vehicle, it could be a hearing aid, a special cushion, a wheelchair, things like that. Things that insurance doesn't cover or other programs don't cover, or they just don't have enough money to purchase it and they need to borrow. And a lot of people, the reason the program started years ago was a lot of people with disabilities being on Social Security and such didn't have a good credit history or didn't have a credit history at all. Needed an alternative finance program rather than going to your typical bank to be able to get loans to purchase some of the stuff that they needed. So
let's jump back into the reason why you're on this program today. When did you receive your Advocacy award?
I received my award in July when I was at the National Council on Independent Living Conference in Washington, D.C. I serve on the board of what we call NICL, the National Council on Independent Living, and I've served on the board of directors since 1999. I've been the president of the board for the last couple of years and actually got reelected while we were at the conference, and so I have 2 more years to serve as president. But every year at the conference we have an awards luncheon where we give out various awards for different things. Each region gives out a region award, and then we have a number of other awards that are given out by the vice president or the president.
Is this part of the governor's board that you're on that we were talking about before?
No, this is a national organization based out of Washington, D.C. It's a national grassroots advocacy organization specifically for independent living. Our membership is made up of Centers for Independent Living, statewide independent living councils, and then other disability organizations across the country, and then also individuals with disabilities too. So we have our membership. There's thousands in our membership. We do a lot of national policy work in Washington D.C. is our main thing that we do. So
what are the attributes of a good advocate?
Oh wow. Well, I would say perseverance is one. You certainly can never give up. Energy comes in handy. Get up.
Yeah.
I think good bargaining skills they also come in handy.
To be able to negotiate with other people to get what you want done.
Exactly. Yeah, especially when you're working with congressional members or even their staffers, or even at the state level. I think it's important to be able to negotiate because you may not always get everything that you want, probably not going to get everything that you want when you go in. One of the things my dad always taught me is you might go in asking for more than you really want because you may have to negotiate down.
That's a possibility. When we first set up this interview, you talked to me about being chosen for the governor's committee for the disabled. How were you selected for that?
Yeah, it's the Statewide Independent Living Council. I served years ago. I served on the council for about 6 years, and then I just recently served another 3 years on the council. I retired off of the board about a year ago. Basically, the Statewide Independent Living Council, the council members are supposed to make recommendations to the governor for individuals that they think are potential council members to be appointed, and then sometimes the governor comes up with, or his staffers come up with, people also that they want to appoint. So it could be kind of a mixture. But
how honored are you and were you to receive this award that you received?
I was extremely honored for the award because it comes from, the thing is with the award coming from ICL, it comes from my colleagues that I've worked with for years and people that I admire. And so for people that I admire to, for one, surprise me because I had no idea. Talk about shocked.
Great surprise.
Yeah, I had no idea they were going to give this award to me. And it was the Rowley National Advocacy Award, and it's actually the award that the Vice President presents, and comes from the members of the Legislative and Advocacy Committee. So, yeah, it's definitely an honor to receive it.
Did you go to school in Hayes?
To college? I went to. Yep, I'm a graduate of Fort Hays State University.
The reason why I asked that is I wanted to know what you majored in and if what you majored in helped you to do what you're doing now.
I got a bachelor's in psychology and a minor in sociology, and then my graduate work was in counseling.
So I can see that it was helpful. I would guess it was very helpful for you.
I think it was helpful in a lot of ways. Obviously, working with people. Now, I will say on the systems advocacy side, some of it was still very helpful. Obviously, especially the sociology classes. I think I do wish I would have taken some coursework in government. I didn't take any political science courses at all.
I can see where government classes would have helped, considering what you're doing now.
It absolutely. Although I will say I have learned a lot about political science and how the government works and legislative processes and all those kinds of things. And I continue to learn every day. So.
What do you want to do in the future? More of this, or just more of this, or just what? Where do you go from here?
Well, with my new job titles, I'm extremely happy. I know Sherry, the director of Skill. I think she kind of knows systems advocacy has always been my love. I love doing systems advocacy.
What is that?
Well, systems advocacy is there's different types of advocacy. There's systems advocacy, individual advocacy, self-advocacy. So self-advocacy is when you advocate on behalf of yourself. Mm-hmm. Individual advocacy is when we advocate with an individual or on behalf of the individual, either way.
Okay, so what is systems advocacy?
Systems advocacy is to advocate for a change within a system that is going, a broader picture that is going to benefit more people, not just one person. So when we do policy work that is going to benefit people with disabilities, such as the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Air Carriers Access Act, there's all kinds of laws out there that benefit people with disabilities, and that's systems advocacy.
Okay, thanks, Luann, for being on today's Resource Central. Joe Reinecker saying goodbye, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.